Welcome everybody to this week's AMA. We don't have a set guest or topic this week, so it's just whatever people want to talk about. But I see so far it's just our own crew here. So we're just going to talk about what we want to talk about, which is great. We have some interesting things that are on our mind. So let's get started. The thing that, so I just started reading today. I was on vacation, so I didn't see it when it first came out, but there's a new paper by our good friends Vitalik Buterin, Glenn Weil, and a new friend that I didn't know. Let me check his name at the top. Pooja Olhaver from Flashbots Limited. I don't know what Flashbots Limited is. Maybe someone can look that up. But anyways,
I mean,
they wrote this. Yeah,
Flashbots is a thing to combat / utilize minor extractable value. So like you can you like submit transactions to like through the Flashbots, and a whole bunch of the miners have agreed that like they'll play by the rules, and then like they order the transactions. I don't get deep into it, but that's basically what Flashbots is about.
Nice, thanks for explaining. Yeah, now that you say that name does ring a bell. Okay, cool. Okay, so anyways, they wrote this interesting paper, which is kind of like, I've been following Glenn's evolving position on like how do we manage human uniqueness? How do we like should we be using on-chain credentials or our blockchain's garbage? And so it's like interesting to see his evolving position on that. But this paper's really interesting. I've started to read it. Talks about soulbound tokens, which I think is a better name for what we've been calling soulbound NFTs. I think just soulbound tokens. Philip was saying earlier before we started the recording, like, hey, if you think about it, the doggos that we minted and made soulbound from BrightID, like maybe not from a being able to buy and sell them, maybe they're not fungible in that way, but they're certainly like fungible as in like one doggo is as good as another, and you don't need to prove which doggo you have. It's just as good to prove that you have any old doggo that's bound to your soul, if you're like using it as some sort of attestation. So anyways, yeah, so I like dropping the non-fungible part out of soulbound, just calling them soulbound tokens. As far as I've gotten, so has anyone here read the whole thing yet? I just barely started reading it today. It's not that long. It's like 32 pages or something. But yeah, I'm on the part. So it talks about soul, and then it talks about art and soul, which is cool. I haven't gotten to soul lending yet, but anyways, I was reading about art and soul and provenance, tracing the provenance of an SBT, and also using SBTs as kind of like verifiable credentials, to use the W3C term, to show like give more information about the creator of an NFT. That's interesting. Yeah, and so actually I'm not sure that it's so it doesn't make it clear whether the NFTs themselves should be soulbound or not, but it does say that that the author can revoke them, which is actually true. Like when we were working on BrightID soulbound NFTs with Mr. Plus, we figured out that like pretty much any NFT, the issuer can always rug pull you. Like you're basically, you have to trust the creator or the issuer of the NFT if you're going to hold one of those NFTs, because at any time they can do something to, like, they can just be like, okay, you have this NFT that I said was really rare, but guess what? I'm now going to mint 1 million more of that exactly like yours, and yours isn't rare anymore. Or they can just do other things, and they can, yeah. they can do, there's a lot of things they can do. So yeah, anyways, so that's interesting, but being able to know more about the author in a decentralized way, OpenSea does allow, they criticize OpenSea as being too centralized, but OpenSea does allow you to check on the creator and see, oh, they also made these collections, or they linked these social profiles. But imagine if you were doing it with verifiable credentials, and you as the creator could choose to share whatever social proofs you want, that yes, I am, I'm associated with this art gallery, and whatever credentials you want to share. I think that's really nice. As far as the provenance, I think provenance is really cool. Like anyone who deals in things like rare coins or artwork, they know that provenance is really important. Like not just knowing who made it, but being able to see like, okay, this person held it for a while, then this person, and trace the provenance of something. That can be useful, but I would hope that none of this stuff is like, I hope we can still, that it's not mandatory. I hope we can still allow for anonymous holders of artwork, that if you're like, okay, I'm going to be part of the chain, but no one should know that like these 3 hops were all the same person. And like, yeah, because I want to be anonymous. Like no one should know that this was my account and this was also my account, and I just transferred it between the two because I just want to be private. Like I don't want the world to know like everything about me as an art holder. So anyways, interesting. I got to read more on this, but there's something about, I'm skimming ahead, social recovery versus SBT community recovery. So I'm definitely really interested in that. Yeah, I don't know. BrightID doesn't appear to be credited in here, although I know Glenn and Vitalik are very aware of BrightID. So yeah, I don't know how much it was inspired, but it's always good to collaborate. It's always good to share ideas. There's probably some useful stuff in here. I've already found some little bit of useful stuff so far. Just been reading a little bit. So anyways, that's something that's been on my mind. Anyone else have any comments on that?
I haven't started reading it yet, but I've pulled it up and we'll read it.
Cool. Another thing that's on my mind is the friend finder feature. The find your friend. What do we call it? What are we calling it? Find friends. I like that. Find friends. Is that what it's actually called? I need to bring this up. I need to actually try it. I've been on vacation when that was released. Do you want to? Who knows the most about that? I mean, I do know about it, but who's actually tried it? Like, who has the most hands-on experience with that? Anyone here? No. No one's used it. Okay. Okay, we need to use our own feature. But yeah, but I as the person who helped architect it, so I think it was my idea to do this, and like, from what I can tell so far, the implementation is really good. But I'll check it out and give more feedback on it. But
so Adam, I guess I don't even understand. Yep. I see it on my phone, but I click on it and it just says no friends.
Yeah, okay, so here's what it's supposed to do.
What should it do?
Here's what it's supposed to do. It's supposed to look in your contacts, any of your friends that have, so it should allow you, first of all, it should allow you to add your different accounts. You can add your phone number. I'm not sure what else you can add, but you should be able to add your different accounts to these anonymized registries, where they don't actually link to anything. This is what helps to preserve the privacy. It's just a list saying like, okay, the person with this phone number, and then the phone number is hashed. That helps a little bit, but you can still, like, anyone who wants to look up a phone number can look up a phone number. See that it's a BrightID user. It doesn't have your BrightID. That's very important. Just says yes, this person has self-acknowledged that they're a BrightID user. And that way you can see which of your friends are using BrightID. So that way you can go and you can say, oh, okay, it looked through my contact list. These 5 people are BrightID users. Then I can go and make connections to them on BrightID. It's not like Facebook where it's like, okay, we're going to, like, it's going to set up that like it's going to send a connection request. Like it's not going to send a connection request for you, because that is frankly, that's not good. Like that's like one of my biggest I mean, there's a million complaints I have with Facebook, but that's a big one, is that like you can send requests to almost anyone that you find in any possible way. You can send a request to them. So that's not what this is about. You have to find your own way to send a request to them, which is the way it should be, just to send a connection request. So so let's say I use it, I look up, I see that I have these 5 people that I haven't connected with yet that are using BrightID. Let's say Vitalik comes up and I'm like, oh, cool, Vitalik's a BrightID user, but I'm not connected to him yet. Okay, but I regularly chat with him on Telegram. So let me send him a connection request on Telegram. It's just to like help you to find more friends. Because if you didn't have that, it'd be more like, I mean, there's nothing wrong with like getting all your friends to install BrightID, but imagine that you're a brand new user and you just want to quickly make connections with people that are already using it. You don't want to, maybe you're not to the point yet where you want to like get a bunch of new people to use it. You want to bank off of the like existing social collateral, I guess you could say. You want to connect to people that are already well connected. So that's what the
Right, and also
friend find is going to do.
Right, the friction of someone already on BrightID is super low. It's super easy to make a connection. If someone asks me, hey, can we connect on BrightID? Sure, super easy for me. If the person you're asking is not on BrightID, you're asking them to do a lot. It's a very different thing to say, hey, can we make a connection, which will take you 5 seconds, versus I want you to jump through all these hoops that you don't even know what you're doing or why you didn't ask for this thing. Like, those are so different. Yeah. So I'm confused. When I try to look at this on my phone, I see no evidence that like how.
Do you see a way to add your own
so
identifiers?
I see this screen right here where I get this really weird sync bar, but I think I've put it to the selector side. But it's not. It's
okay.
not.
I'll have to check it out.
Yeah, it's not like
I know how it should work, and I'll see how the implementation.
It's not asking for access to my contact list or anything like that.
Yeah, so it should ask for access to your contact list to be able to like read in and automatically check. Maybe that part. If it doesn't have that part, I'm not sure how you're supposed to. It needs that part, and then also it needs a way to like it should be able to easily look up you in your own contact list and offer to add your account identifiers.
It's got an input where I can put in my phone number and email, which I'm not inclined to do because like right now I'm not I've got my Twitter in there, and I'm pretty sure that anyone I connect to can see my Twitter, which I'm cool with, but I don't want to put my phone number in there and give my phone number to anyone I connect with.
Oh, is there no distinction between the two? Like, does that mean?
It's funny. So in one place, it looks like maybe the only thing I'm sharing is the social media, but like on the profile screen, it's just contact information and then social media links. And then in this little description box, it says, under sync, do you want to allow people who have your contact info and social media links to know that you're a BrightID user so they can connect to you on BrightID? This does not reveal your information to people who don't already have it, which is not true on the Twitter side, Because like if I go to anyone's profile that has that, I can see their, I think, right?
I think those are two different things, and we need to make sure that they don't get confused, because there's the option, which I think was a feature that you requested a long time ago that was implemented, that allows you to share more when you're connecting with someone. So there's that, and that should be the way it should be implemented is that should be separate from adding yourself to the find friend.
Yeah.
So if you
very
add your
much so.
phone number to find friend, that should not do what you just said, which is whenever you connect to someone and shares your phone number, should not do that. So let's make sure, but hopefully it doesn't do that. We don't want it to do that. That's a different thing. You should be able to, like, if you want that, maybe you could add that to your profile, but this should not be your profile. It should be a separate thing from your profile. It's just like allowing yourself to be found. Allowing yourself to be found by people who already know those identifiers, not sharing those identifiers with people who don't already have them.
Right.
A different thing.
But even though that is also a thing we want to be.
That is also a thing.
Right. But it's very much separate.
Yeah,
thing.
we need to keep those separate. If
Right.
those get muddled together, that's going to be bad for privacy.
And anyone in the world is welcome to know my Twitter. Like that is specifically a thing that I use publicly. But my phone number is not something that I'm interested in sharing publicly.
So you would want to put your Twitter account in both, both the friend find and the profile that gets shared with anyone you make a connection with. But you want your phone number only in the friend find, not in your profile that gets shared every time you make a connection. That way, if I already know your phone number, it'll show up, okay, Philip is a BrightID user. Great, cool. If I don't know your phone number, I don't get to know that. If I'm some random attacker type person looking up phone numbers to try to get more information, the only thing I'm going to get is, let's say I randomly try your phone number, I pick it out of a list or something. I'm not going to get your name. Let's say I picked it out of a phone book. So I've got your name, phone number. I'm not going to learn anything new other than that you're a BrightID user, which we're okay with. I won't be able to make a connection with you. I'll still have to use my spammy social engineering techniques to try to make a connection with you. Like I could send you a text like connect to me on BrightID, but the find friend doesn't make that any easier. I still have to do that.
Well, okay. So you could do a brute force attack where you do all the phone numbers in the world, and it comes back, and then you send spam texts to all of them with a hey, let's connect.
Yeah, you could use the friend find feature with like a huge set of phone numbers, narrow it down to a smaller set and be like, okay, now I'm going to target these phone numbers and just send them all out texts saying like, please connect to me on BrightID. I'm hoping that another feature that we have, which is really helpful, is you can report a spam connection before you actually make the connection. So you can report someone, you can be like, hey, I didn't like this, this connection came out of nowhere, this connection request came out of nowhere, I think it's an attacker. And so that makes things very difficult for the attacker because they're going to burn through their fake accounts really fast. So the point of doing something like that is you want to have like one account where you're able to connect to a bunch of people who just randomly accept. Like on Facebook, attackers are able to do that. They can. There's really no penalty for like sending out friend requests to a bunch of different people, kind of like phishing for friend requests. But on BrightID there is. It's going to be really hard to get an account to collect, like have an account that collects a bunch of these like connections to people that you don't really know, because all it takes is you know, some of those people to report you, and suddenly you've damaged that account and you have to start over from zero. So so we have, because we have that, and it's easy to use. We know, we've seen it happen on Discord, like people phishing for BrightID connections. So we know that it happens, and we tell people most of the time it's honest people just trying to build their, you know, they want to get more connections. They want to help themselves, and they don't realize, like, well, you know, you really should actually know this person.
Right.
And so we just tell them, don't do that, because those types of requests could get reported. We even talked to I even talked to Maddie about building a bot. You could even have a bot that detects like spammy behaviors. You don't even need a person to do it. Like a bot could report those types of connection links being posted, and then that that puts a black mark on the user that's doing them. So yeah, bottom line is, yeah, find a friend is safe. You're not going to reveal anything that people don't already know. And if you do see weird, just as an aside, if you do see weird connection requests that you don't expect, just mark them as, just report them as spam. Cool. So yeah, I'll play around with that feature more, and I'm sure there's more to improvements to be added to it. It's going to evolve and become better. What else do you guys want to talk about? I know that the Unitap is coming along. From what I've heard, it's getting close to release.
So I have something to say.
Sure.
You guys were talking about Finder Friends or Friend Finder. I don't know, because I got
I
disconnected.
think it's called
I don't know.
Friendify.
Yeah, Friend Finder. So I was thinking how to make users like work with this feature and set their phone number, Twitter account, and something else, because this feature is important, especially in case of B2, and it makes that process easier.
Yeah, definitely. So so it sounds like you've been using it, because I was asking if any of us here have really tried to use it, and
Yeah,
I haven't tried
sorry,
very hard.
I got disconnected for some minutes.
Oh, okay. So why don't you tell us about your experience with it? How does it work, and how has the experience been for you?
You know, actually, I didn't like the user experience of that. But you should choose the social media or phone number that you want to set, and for example, you choose Twitter, then you set your Twitter handle and then save that, and after you do this like this process for all that social network you want, you can refresh the page, and uh, you know it shows you who of your connections and which of your connections and contacts has BrightID. For
Okay.
example, it showed me that Mahdi has BrightID or Mohsen has
Okay.
BrightID.
So do you do that? Everything's done from within the BrightID mobile app, right?
Yeah,
It is? Okay.
yeah.
But
But I think that we should improve the user experience, because
okay.
like it 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 was a little hard.
So did it, so you had to, it sounded like you had to manually enter in every one of your
Yeah.
identifiers or accounts. Is that the part you didn't
Yes.
like?
Yeah.
Yeah, because
And
sorry, go ahead.
yeah, go on. No, go on.
I was just saying, I would think that, because Philip was like, hey, why didn't it ask me for permission to look at my contacts? I was thinking that if it did, I think it should be able to find you yourself in your contacts and then get
I know.
your information and then just suggest it to you. Like, hey, would you like to add this Twitter account? Would you like to add this phone number? Would you like to? So what do you
I
think
mean,
about that?
I would expect like phone number and email address to be in that, but my Twitter is certainly not in my like phone profile.
Yeah, I guess that's true. Yeah,
But also,
sometimes.
Twitter is a funny one because right, Twitter is like a follow kind of thing, it's not a two-way street necessarily. So there's lots of people that I follow that don't follow me. Many don't even know that I exist. So like the I don't have a list. I don't have a contact list of Twitter people.
Yeah, so how does it? Yeah, I guess it would have to sync with your Twitter account to get all your to automatically help you find your Twitter followers.
Right. Right. So is it the people that
Yeah,
follow
yeah, that's a good question. Is it your followers or the
right?
people
Because
you follow?
sure, like I follow Elon Musk. I have no way of contacting Elon Musk.
Yeah,
So
but
Musk,
so it'd be pretty useless if it told you, hey, Elon Musk is using BrightID. I mean, that might be cool to see that, but it's like
yeah, right,
you're
right.
not going to be able to send him a DM on Twitter and say like, hey, Elon Musk, connect with me. He's like, who are you?
Well,
Yes.
and specifically, even if someone could figure out how to do, like, I don't want him to get all those random ass requests on like in his Twitter, filling up his Twitter DMs, because that's just going to make him annoyed because he does like it's Twitter's.
Yeah, and it's going to make the people who do it get marked as spam, and that'd be bad for their account. So yeah,
social media is a funny one for that.
Yeah, it's yeah. So I wonder how that works. I don't know. I don't know if it shows your followers or who follows you or okay, so here's the thing that I've noticed about Twitter DMs is if you both follow each other, then there's no friction in sending DMs. If only one of you follows the other, then I think you have to both follow each other before you can easily send DMs. I could be wrong about that.
So I think it's also a setting within Twitter. Like
yeah, that's true.
You can open and close your DMs to different layers of. There's like you can have it. Anyone can DM you, or only my people I follow can DM me. Yeah, and that's definitely something people can like toggle even for short time frames. I've seen people be like, "Hey, I'm opening up my DMs for an hour."
Yeah, yeah. So have you just used it with phone numbers? Yes, Donnie?
Yeah, yeah, I use that, and you know which part I didn't like at the most. If you can, oh, you can't see. Okay, when I click on social media, it shows me this page, and you can't see you know when a user like it goes to this page, they can't see any other social medias until they click on WhatsApp, and uh, you know they don't know that they should click on WhatsApp to see other social medias. And you know at the first time I thought that it just had WhatsApp and no other social medias. Yeah.
Okay. Well, it sounds like you have some good feedback to give them. Hopefully they can improve. Hopefully it can be the find friends feature that we all want. So, but I think it's really cool. I mean, it's a nice idea. It's something that, like you said, should make B2 verification easier. It's good. It's good, especially in the bootstrapping phase. In the end game phase, it's like everyone uses BrightID, so you don't have to know who is which of your friends use it. So it doesn't help anymore. But right now in the phase that we're in, it's very helpful.
So in case of Unitab, we added Bitcoin Lightning Network.
Oh, cool.
And yeah, this is the last update about Unitab. Actually, I listed some chains, and uh, uh, some of them are EVM networks, some of them are non-EVM. And after we have the first product and the initial launch, we can ask them to join Unitab and use that.
That's awesome. Yeah, I think it'll be good to ask ecosystems to put up some of their own token, like whatever the token is. And I love that there's a pretty simple, straightforward business model for it. So I love stuff like that. Like it's like with BrightID, I'm just like, man, I wish there was like a simple way, because it's like we spent so long thinking about, we're like, we don't want users to have to pay. How much do we want businesses to pay? How do they pay? Like, what are they getting in return?
How do you
So
have a
it's like-
system that's open and available for everybody, but that somebody paid? Like, we don't want to make anyone pay, but someone needs to pay.
Right.
This is a common public goods problem.
Yeah.
Please,
But
crypto sphere.
Unitap's like a public good, and Unitap's a public good, but it's like super easy, makes super sense, and it's like it's not going to be a burden on anyone. I mean, you're giving away tokens. You give a little bit away. You're giving away tokens to users. You give a tiny fraction of that to the Unitap service. So that's makes total sense.
Mhm. And thanks God that like we didn't ask Luna to join that. So
You don't want Luna in there. Sorry,
I know
did
you've
I
been
miss
away.
something?
You know that Luna blew up yesterday, Adam.
No, I've been away. I came back and I'm like, wow, why is everything in crypto down 30%?
Partly because Luna blew up. Luna went from like $80 to 80 cents.
Oops.
The peg broke. They like had to sell Bitcoiners. Like, I mean, it's a mess. I don't
Oh
follow
yeah, I did
carefully.
notice that. I was like, why is TUSD or whatever it's called? Why is that Terra USD? Why is that like it's 60 cents? That's not right.
Yeah, no,
I was looking at like the insane gas. Every time I see gas like at insane prices, I'm like, okay, let's figure out why this is. Oh, okay, people are unwinding their leveraged positions or something because the price is tanking. But then I was like scrolling down a little bit. I'm like, TUSD or whatever the ticker is. Yeah, UST. UST is 60 cents. That doesn't seem right. I did investigate, but I'm like, that doesn't look right. That's not good. Okay. All right. Well, fun times there.
And
but we've got some other nice ones. But the thing is, like, that's not gonna. I mean, that was just a joke. Like that doesn't. Like whether or not the token that we're giving away, that Unitap is giving away, is successful or not, doesn't really matter.
We're going to give away a lot of tokens that go to
Yeah.
zero, and that's fine.
Yeah.
It was free.
Yeah, I'm really excited for the feature where every user gets to pick, like, let's say 5, whatever the magic number is that Unitap is allowing users to pick. There will be hundreds, maybe even thousands of projects. You pick the 5 that you like, and you get to collect just those 5 that week. You can change your mind the next week, but this week you get to pick. They could be any combination of gas tokens, UBI tokens, project tokens, community tokens, and so that will help a lot with the ranking system. So you can Unitap will be not just a place to get tokens, but also a place to learn about tokens. And the ones that people are picking the most are the ones that are gonna rise to the top and people will learn more about. So that's another reason why it needs BrightID. So that you like a project doesn't come in with, there's not like this wash where a project comes in and is like, oh, we're giving away 100,000 of the tokens, and then they bring in 100,000 fake accounts and like collect all their tokens, and then they look like they're an awesome project. Yeah, look at our social impact, but they're just giving it back to themselves. Yeah. Anything else you guys want to talk about?
I did a session with Gitcoin earlier today.
Okay.
They're doing like interviews with folks that have used like been, I think, project recipients. They're working on a new UI for their system. So gave lots of lovingly critical feedback on that. Which is super excited to continue to watch Gitcoin figure out how to be its awesome self, and it's clearly hard.
Yeah.
I also noticed that they're about to do a bunch of voting for their various streams, and there's a whole lot of controversy. Like people are putting out like voting guides, and there's a whole bunch of people being like, oh, we should probably vote no for this, that, and the thing. The amounts of money that are being asked are huge, and GTC has gotten wrecked in this drop. So I don't know what they're going to do, because there's so much demand from all these groups for money. DAOs are bad at saying no. So I checked the actual voting, and so far everything's got a clearly mandated yes vote. But I'm reading the guides from people that are deep into this, and they're like, well, I would say no on this one, this one, and this one. And no one's actually voting no, because like, you don't want to vote against your friends. Like this is DAO governance challenges on the front page. And it's not specific to Gitcoin, but I'm closer to that one. And the problems are going to be exacerbated significantly by the drop in that token value.
Interesting. Do you know, one thing that I want to check on is one give, to see if that is holding its peg. Because like I'm really interested in that whole concept of having a community token that can hold some sort of peg, or hold some sort of like be more constant in value, even if it's not tied to the US dollar per se, at least have be pegged to something more stable than like the crypto ups and downs that happen.
Yeah, I don't know. Let's see. Yeah, Aura continues to slowly move forward. Greatly appreciate the folks that helped to speed things up. Yesterday morning it was painfully slow, and then by nighttime it was speedy fast. So look forward to sharing that with folks pretty soon.
Yep, and I'm also looking forward to assembling the right team, moving on from the current team. This is my first raid guild project, like seeing how they do it. So that was an interesting experience.
Yeah, and I also know that we were a wildly unusual example for Raid Guild. Raid Guild means to do much smaller, much more targeted projects.
Yeah.
Which is distinctly not what this had become.
Yeah, or is going to be something that's going to evolve, constantly evolve for years.
All right.
Yep. All right, guys. Great talking to you all. If you want to continue the conversation, please come to our Discord and let's chat some more.
Oh, hey, one thing I saw in
Yep.
the Discord right before this, someone from Good Dollar wrote in the integration channel, sort of asking, kind of, is there a way to create integration, particularly related to like matching up the social graphs? I didn't know that Good Dollar had a social graph. I've kind of lost touch on that project. I don't know if anyone's.
Well, they have it. I mean, if you think about it, anytime that you are sending money around, you're creating a sort of social graph. So because they are, it's kind of like the UBI token and proof of humanity, because Good Dollar is trying to vet its accounts, and it has its own way that's not BrightID currently to try to limit one account per person. There's going to be some social graph that forms just by who you send money to, who or what you send money to. So that's probably what they're talking about. But that's funny because it was a few years ago that we first had those discussions, and out of that, Open UBI was born, and those were interesting times. It was like an attempt at a merger. I mean, we attempted to merge Swift Demand with Good Dollar. We attempted to merge BrightID with Good Dollar, and none of that really happened. Yep. But now they're wanting to integrate again. So that's cool.
I wonder if they're doing something more explicit with the social graph rather than just like the flow of funds, because like the flow of funds would be not a good way to do it. Because like I might, I send crypto funds to all sorts of different people and addresses. I am not in any way validating that like they're a unique user or
right.
something. I'm just
right.
Whatever. Someone said, hey, send money to this address and X will happen. Either I will get a product or a swap will happen or whatever. Like flow of funds does not have any meaning.
Doesn't it doesn't solve the uniqueness problem. It does create an interesting trust graph that you can look at and see, well, I trusted this address enough to send them money because I was expecting
no, I mean, not even necessarily. Let's say Victor gives me $100. Thanks, Victor, appreciate it. $100 bill, and then I send him $100 worth of Good Dollars, right? There was no trust involved in what I did. Maybe there was some trust involved in him giving me the $100 before I gave him, but like that wasn't on chain. And the action I did required no trust whatsoever because I'd already been made whole. So
yeah,
like,
right. So there's trust somewhere. Right. But I see what you're saying. I see what you're saying, that the direction of the trust, you couldn't necessarily tell the direction of the trust because it's like who is trusting whom,
and also so when Victor did that, he didn't actually have me send him the $100 worth of Good Dollars. He actually had me send those Good Dollars directly to his kidnapper. Right? Like it doesn't say anything.
Or like someone who does those viruses that lock your computer.
Right.
Someone like that, it's like, oh, look, they have
look at all the inbound
a lot
trust.
of people trust them. Well, they're blackmailing a lot of people. Yeah, I get it. Yeah. So, well, maybe that's why they want BrightID, because they've got.
I think they must be. I think they must be actually doing something with social connections.
Yeah, they're probably like, have some sort of way to mark who your friends are in Good Dollar. Cool. Well, yeah. We will integrate. Our API is wide open, so anyone can use BrightID. Anyone can integrate, and there's a lot of people I like it at Good Dollar. I think they have good hearts, so we'll try to help them out.
I mean, in the end, all that is just data, right? So maybe the absence of data tells something. If I don't make any iteration, so ever, that said something. Maybe
Right.
the interaction is no, you don't know exactly why these two wallets are interacting, but if they are not interacting, that is something real. It's
Yeah,
a fact.
that's also an
People
information.
doesn't have anything to do. So maybe in that way, it's subtracting the data. Not the amount of data, that when the people doesn't make the interaction, that is something, it's a fact that these two people doesn't interact. And the collateral, I mean, in different grades, because if all with the people that I make interactions to doesn't interact with your wallet, so you can like sell who people doesn't make anything kind of interaction. And yeah, it's something like that. I think that the data is good for in that case.
Mm-hmm.
But for
Yeah,
trust.
I think you're right. Cool. All right, guys. Thanks for the chat, and I'll talk to y'all soon. Take care.
Great.
Bye.